Dead Cells 2.6 has finally arrived. My name is Psyche, and today we're gonna see just what this long-awaited update has in store for us. So first and foremost, this patch is known as the Everyone is Here update, and it brings us 6 crossover items from other indie games. I should say that I don't have enough knowledge to really give you guys a rating on these weapons so far, so this video will just serve as more of a first impressions. Now, in order to unlock all 6 of these items, what you have to do is to find a shrine that's dedicated to that game in the prisoner's quarters, so just in the first level. It's rather easy to obtain, you don't really have to do anything too out of the ordinary. Once you interact with the shrine, you should be able to get it, and you don't even have to use cells to unlock it from the collector. Let's go through each and one of them one by one. So first of all, we have the crossover item from Blasphemous. This is known as the Face Flask. So the Face Flask is a brutality-only item. When used, it will slightly hurt you, but will also convert some of your lost health to recovery. This is basically the same effect as Vampirism, but not as extreme. It's much safer to use than Vampirism, since you don't lose like all of your health, but at the same time you don't also gain that much. Now, how can this item be useful, you might ask? Well, this item combos extremely well with the Spite Sword. Because you're technically taking damage, you can actually pull off critical hits with the Spite Sword. And on top of that, using the Face Flask does not stop your kill streak. It's pretty cool how your character just kinda smashes the flask against you. I haven't played Blasphemous, so unfortunately I don't know the lore and the reasoning behind this. Anyways, let's move on. Next up, we have Curse of the Dead Gods, and this weapon is known as the Machete and Pistol. So this weapon only takes up 1 slot, even though it's technically 2 weapons. It has a combo of 3 strikes. You hit with the machete with the first 2 strikes, and then you pull out the pistol, which does close range damage as well as a critical hit. This weapon scales with brutality and tactics, and although the first 2 strikes are not too good, the final pistol blast is very powerful, and the range of it is absolutely huge. It can actually hit flying enemies, as far as I can tell. But I am gonna have to play with this weapon a bit more to see its actual potential. Next up, we have Guacamole. This skill is known as the Holo Power, or Pollo Power. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but anyways, when used, it will turn your character into a chicken. You can run around and it'll lay a bunch of eggs around you. Now, despite what you might think, using this skill does not actually give you iframes. You can still take damage, though you can still jump around platforms, and you can cancel out the ability at any time. By the way, it scales with tactics only. Now, an interesting way I found that this can work is using anything that can root enemies, because what you can do here is you can root the enemies in place, and since you can actually just stand still as the chicken, you can just lay eggs where the enemy is and they cannot attack you because they're out of range, because they're rooted, and you just keep spamming them with eggs. Really interesting playstyle. I cannot wait to play with this a bit more. Next up, we have Hyperlight Drifter. This is a 2-handed item. 1 slot gives you the Heartlight Sword, while the other gives you the Heartlight Gun. How this weapon functions is that you shoot the enemy with the pistol, and it will mark them, similarly to how the Serenade functions. After that, you can hit stuff with your sword, and it will do critical damage depending on how much ammo you have. I'm not sure what the wording on this quite means, but I'm assuming it hits for more damage if you have less ammo. However, you do have to have a mark on the enemy in the first place, and you don't actually get your ammo back automatically. You have to hit stuff with the sword to replenish your ammo. Just on a first impression basis, I do think that this is probably going to be one of the harder weapons to use, simply because you move forward while you're using the sword, similarly to how the katana also moves you forward slightly. The Heartlight weapons scale with brutality and tactics. Next up, we have Skull the Hero Slayer. This weapon is just called Bone. Yeah, it's just called Bone. It has a 2-swing combo, but if you hit something with the second swing, it will turn your attack into a whirlwind type of attack and do critical hits. Now, what I really like about this weapon is that there's one subtle thing that you can do while spinning that really makes it stand out. Because when you're spinning with a whirlwind attack, you can actually change directions, roll to cancel the attack, or even parry with a shield midway through it. Now, this may not seem like a really big thing, but I actually believe this makes the Bone have a very high skill ceiling. Because you have so much freedom in its attack, you can really pull off some impressive maneuvers. And finally, last but not least, everybody's been waiting for this, is the weapon from Hollow Knight, and this is called the Pure Nail. Now, I know, I said Hollow Knight was probably not going to appear in the crossover, And yeah guys, I admit it, I was wrong. But this is a very welcoming surprise. The nail is a brutality only item, and what's different about this weapon apart from others is that you can move while attacking just like how you can in Hollow Knight. And on top of that, if you use the directional buttons for up and down while attacking, you can do two separate different attacks, one by striking upwards and one by striking downwards. These do critical damage, and just like how you can in Hollow Knight, you can actually bounce on enemies infinitely. Though the timing seems much tighter than it is in Hollow Knight. This is mainly because the movement patterns for Dead Cells is just a little bit different. You don't really have that much degree of freedom when it comes to controls. There's acceleration when you run, and the overall feel of movement just feels a bit different. But that does not mean this is not a good item. In fact, this is one of the most interesting ways you can play the game. You can actually hit enemies that are one platform above or below you. This has never been done with a weapon so far, and it really leads to some interesting playstyles, especially when it comes to biome selection, because some biomes have more platforms, and it will give you a significant edge when using the nail. That's it for weapons, but wait, there is more. In addition to the 6 weapons, 6 new outfits have also been released for each of the games. However, they're not blueprints in the traditional form. If you go to the prisoner's quarters right before starting a run, there will now be a book. Reading this book will give you a hint how to unlock each outfit. As far as I know, people are still trying to figure this out, but I did manage to unlock one of them so far, and that is the Vessel outfit for Hollow Knight. The hints that the book gave me seemed to suggest that I needed to bounce on a lot of objects consecutively, and with the help of Discord, what you can do is that you can go to the plant that bounces you upwards in the prisoner's quarters and just keep doing the downward slash attack and just keep bouncing yourself above the ground. And eventually after a while, the outfit should unlock. And here's what it looks like. So it looks like I'm still gonna have to keep a lookout on the other 5 outfits, but other than that, this has been a very eventful update. I do plan to showcase some of these weapons in the coming weeks or so keep your eyes out for that. This has been an overview of the new 2.6 update for Dead Cells. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.